Bujoanin again. This is part 5 of the series that I'm putting together for the Native Art class through the LCO College at the Red Cliff Outreach Site for the semester 2020. And the previous videos showed different aspects of the projects that will be due on May 8th for this second half of the semester. But I'm also encouraging students when we set up our time to go over your projects is to bring all of the projects that you worked on in this course, because then that'll give a picture of hopefully what you've learned and how you've been able to use it over this time. And to me, this course is just kind of like an introduction. There's some people that are in the course that have done beadwork and other types of work before, but it's a constant learning experience because there's new things that are available, new things that can be tried and utilized. And I wanted to share a couple of other things because it's, to me, kind of based on what you've learned so far. So that the actual final project is doing like a larger pouch. And this is, I have two of these like that are on display at the cabin. And what you'll notice is it relates to that applique which you've done, and you've did this as part of the medallion or kind of versions of it. But it's doing those applique pieces and then putting it on the black background. Of course, there's other colors you can use, and then utilizing the leather to be able to tie it all together. And I think what's amazing is all of these things that I'm sharing with you is it's stuff that you've learned so far, and that you're able to just take it to like a different level or the next level. What I wanted to share is this necklace that I made, and again, it's that applique kind of pattern. So this is in the shape of a butterfly, and where this came from was when my son Kelly and his girlfriend Roxanne had their baby Raquel, who is 11 right now. They had given me her belly button or her disc with tobacco and asked if I would make something that would hold that disc in there that she would use. So as I started working on this, I didn't kind of realize it at the time, but I was doing this butterfly, and Raquel's Indian or spirit name is Memingwasakwe, butterfly woman. And as I was working on this, she was starting to ask questions, and she handed me the beads. And then I told her, I thought one day that I would share with her how she helped make this very special necklace, which is hers. And I did give it to her last week, and she wanted it left here until she's ready to take it to that next step. But when you look at what is called applique, there's just a lot of different versions. And so like I'll show you these moccasins that I made, and somebody might say, oh my god, I could never make those. Well, what it is, it's just doing it like piece by piece. So again, you've learned how to do this applique kind of beadwork, based on the necklace and based on other things like the bag that you're going to use. If we had classes a little bit different, we would have probably went into more of also doing fully beaded pieces. This is a part of my dance regalia. It's a otter turban, and if you notice, some of the dancers have these types to be able to wear. And I knew I wanted to make one at some point, and so when I'd be at powwows and grand entry, I'd be trying to look up and down, the otter turbans, so that I could get an idea, perhaps how they're put together, and from there, then I just created sort of my own pattern. What I also wanted to share again is, when these are cuffs that I use also, it's based on this floral print that I got, but I utilized this one piece here to put it together to have these cuffs. Well, again, years ago I was given these beaded pieces. There's two of them that I was given, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do with them, but I mean, they're really beautiful. And so from there, I created, these cuffs that I wear with my regular regalia. But again, it's taken something that is kind of simple, so to speak, but putting it together so that you can use it for some different things. If you'll pardon me for a second. So I'm assuming I was maybe, very young when I started dancing, but then by the time I was 16, I made my first regalia, and that parts of those are up on display in the Red Cliff Community Health Center. And what I wanted to do is share that with the community. But so one piece is over the years I was able to obtain this deer tail roach for the Anishinaabe. This has been a common headpiece, whereas like the Sioux or Lakota, Dakota, they have, the full headdresses, but with the intertribal trading and interaction, there are a lot of headdresses that are over, in our part of the Ojibwe, Anishinaabe, Chippewa country. And so when I, over the years, I've changed just a few times for my headpiece, and this is the latest one. And if you notice this piece here, again, it goes back to that applique that you learned. So, that's something that you can do and put together to have it, as a part of whatever. If you're going to be a dancer, you can do that. So, again, part of this learning is just learning as you go along, but it also is a part of what you've learned so far with that applique. In doing this for many, many years, learning from a lot of different people, a lot of it too is trial and error. And so for many years I've had like my powwow regalia, and at one point I had enough so that I could kind of switch it here and there and here and there in like 5 or 6 different outfits. But I mainly stuck to the one that has like the black velvet with the red binding around. What I understand is prior to European contact, when the Anishinaabe or other tribes would utilize, the deer hides and other leather for their clothing and things, that eventually it would start turning older, and it would start turning where it was black. And so when the traders came in and they seen that blackware, what they did was they brought in black cloth to trade, because it represented part of like could be used for like their traditional attire or regalia. And so you see a lot of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Chippewa people, with this type of black, some kind of black velvet or design. And so that's been my main piece when I dance at powwows. But then I also wanted to have something a little bit separate for either social or ceremonial kind of things. So I have powwow moccasins, but then these ones that I made are kind of like more social and more for different types of ceremonies. Also, and it took me in my mind thinking about 10 years, because I did want to have like a vest that I could wear socially and also at different ceremony kind of things, gatherings. And I'm not any kind of seamstress. Most of the sewing that I do is by hand. Maybe one day I'll learn how to use a sewing machine. But so in my mind, I thought over a 10-year period about making a vest. And so this is the vest then that eventually I started working on. And someone asked, well, how long did it take you? And when I do my work, I don't clock in and clock out, so I don't know really. But what I did was estimate that it probably took me about 75 hours to do this work, from the beading to the cutting out the design of the vest and then putting it together and then finishing it up. So, it might have been. What you'll notice on here is, again, those applique. If you see this, you'll notice that that's on there. That was part of, you know, what you did with the medallion. There's some leaves on here. There's a flower that's in the middle. There's this butterfly that's on there. And again, all of this is that applique, and you've learned that so far. So this is part of, you know, maybe what you can do. And the front here, again, kind of the same way with different floral designs. And but this one here in the middle, this came from an old design that was out there, and I used it on my original vest that's on display up at the Community Health Center. So I reproduced that to put on here, as well as some of the leaves. And when I made that that vest that's in the health center, I was like 16 years old, and when I thought of how I wanted to do that, to make sure that it was floral, like we are as Ojibwe people, I went out in the woods and collected some things, and this is an actual pattern from a real maple leaf that I used. So again, I wanted to include that on there. It is reversible. The other inside is just plain old black. And so in sharing these things, again, it's trying to encourage you to never give up. You know, just try it and try it. You'd be surprised at, you know, with your own creativity, you know, what you'll do. The other piece is you might try it and find out that, like the beadwork or the leather work, just isn't your calling. That's okay, because there's other things that you can try and concentrate on and think about, and maybe that'll be your calling, like doing birch bark baskets, maybe going out and collecting medicines and going out, you know, and getting those different natural elements and can be utilized in what we would call native art. So there might be another video or two before the course is done, but I wanted to share these two with you, number 4 and number 5, and I'm hoping that all is well. Never be afraid, you know, to give me a call or contact me if you need some additional materials or some instruction, or maybe just some frustrations. In doing classes like this, one of the most powerful things for me is when there's students and they're working so intense on their projects that you can hear like a bead drop. And to me, that's really powerful to hear that. So you take care. Please be safe. You know, be aware of all of the challenges that we have at this point, and know that we can overcome, and we've overcome many things in our lives and our existence, and we'll overcome this too. Gigawabmen.